Welcome to Larry's Library. And it is the first Tuesday of a new month, so it is time for a new Top 10 Tuesday. Now this time I am doing my top 10 favorite comic books of 1974. Now these kind of yearly surveys, they tend to attract a fair amount of new subscribers or new viewers. So I'll give you a little bit about me. I'm an old guy that's been reading and collecting comic books since about 1977. I was born in 68. So many of the things I'm going to talk about in this video, well, probably all of them, I didn't actually experience the year they came out. It was, a few years later, 4, 5, 6 years later probably, or even later still, as I buy collected editions that reprint some of the stuff that we're going to talk about, or I've obtained back issues from that era. So bear that in mind. Now, before I get into the comic books, I do like to sort of set the stage and talk about some of the music and the movies of the same year that we're going to survey comic book wise. Now, movies. I'm going to name about 5 or 6 of my favorite movies from 74. One would be Death Wish, the first one. Charles Bronson. I'm not saying this is some perfect example of cinema or anything. Not at all. But it has a lot of cultural impact for that era and beyond, probably still today. And so I do remember watching that and a few of the sequels, but they fall off after a bit, that's for sure. And then we had Mel Brooks' Young Frankenstein. We'll never forget that one. Terry Garr was in it, which I was in love with Terry Garr right away. Another funny one, although unintentionally funny in this case, was John Borman's Zardoz. Okay, that comes from Wizard of Oz, sort of contracted if you've never seen it. And this was a Sean Connery vehicle, and he's great in it. And the concepts in it are wild. It's a weird sci-fi sort of would-be epic. It didn't quite make it, but I remember it for the one phrase I will never forget. In addition to Connery's weird outfit, I'll show a picture of that here. Whoa. Get some clothes on, dude. But one of the main sort of chants, mantras of this movie was, "The gun is good, the penis is evil." I'm not kidding. Richard Lester's sequel to his Three Musketeers, The Four Musketeers. Another great one. Love that, especially as a kid. John Carpenter's first film, Dark Star, came out in 1974. Stanley Donen's The Little Prince came out in 1974. That may be my favorite movie from that year, maybe. It's based on this wonderful book. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce the author's name here, but it's based on this book, and I absolutely adore this book, and I adore that movie. It's a musical, not usually big on musicals, but this is a great one. What a great movie and book. Can't wait to show my granddaughter that book or that movie and read this book to her. But yeah, so if you haven't seen The Little Prince, check that out. Music-wise, 74 was another truly great year. We had Bad Company's self-titled debut album. We had Aerosmith's second album, Get Your Wings. David Bowie's 8th album, Diamond Dogs, was 1974. Tremendous. And one of my favorite bands of all time, Mott the Hoople, released their 7th and final studio album. It was called The Hoople. But enough about all that. Let's get to the comic books. Now, let's set up some criteria here. I'm not saying these are the most seminal works from that year. Not even saying they're the best from that year. I'm saying they're my favorites. And my criteria here are, it has to be something I've read. I'm not judging books on their cover, although I do love a good cover, but it has to be something I've read. And in most cases, it has to be something that I have either owned or I still currently own it, either in its original form or a collected edition. So, I've had people in the comments come in and say, well, you left out Superman, blah, 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 or Batman, blah. I'm going to leave these things out if I haven't read them, or if I didn't really care for them. There's some classics that I just don't like. So what I like may not be what you like. You may agree with a few of them and disagree with some others. And I love that. Everyone should have their passions. So, feel free to comment after you watch this video down there and let me know your favorites, please. Love to read that stuff. So let's get started. At number 10, I have Amazing Adventures issue 27. And this was War of the Worlds. This introduced the character of Killraven. Love that character. Don McGregor wrote it. P. Craig Russell did the awesome art in here. This one has inks by Jack Abel. And that team stayed on this for a long time, doing Killraven. They did the series here in Amazing Adventures. And then later on they did a couple of standalone graphic novels that was really awesome. Love Killraven. Love this material. Now in this one, the cover here is by Jim Starlin and Klaus Janson. Love Starlin. I would have loved to see Jim Starlin pencil a Killraven graphic novel. That would have been awesome. But still waiting on a nice oversized hardcover to collect this great material. Hopefully Marvel does that one day. I was hoping they would do it in a gallery edition, but I've been hearing they may not do any more galleries, so an Omni may be the best we can get here. We'll see. At number 9, I've got Defenders issue 14. Now, this could have been any number of the issues of Defenders from that year. I love this era of Defenders. I love all the Defenders. I had all the original run at one time. Now I'm getting in Omnis, but yeah, issue 14 was written by Len Wein, art by Sal Buscema and Dan Green. Great combo there. This cover is by Sal Buscema. Namor leaves, and Nighthawk joins, and a lot of other wild stuff happens. And this, of course, is collected in the Defenders Omnibus Volume 1. Now, at number 8, I've got a DC title. So don't say I don't do any DC. I do a little. I'm a Marvel dude. I mean, I'm an unabashed Marvel guy. So don't be surprised with what you mostly see in these videos. But at number 8, I've got Swamp Thing, issue number 9. Written by Len Wein again. Same writer as the past selection. Pencils by the legendary Bernie Wrightson. Doesn't get much better than Bernie Wrightson. It really doesn't. Inks here are by Michael Kaluta. How great a combo is that? Mike Kaluta, a legend unto himself, inking the crap out of this stuff. And Bernie Wrightson is perfection. But the cover here is by Wrightson. This is The Stalker from Beyond. If I remember right, Swamp Thing meets up with an alien in the swamps. It is awesome. Love this story so much. Puts a big-ass smile on my face when I just think about it. This was reprinted in many forms in the Absolute, the Bronze Age Omnibus, and many other trade paperbacks and whatnot. I have the Absolute and the Omni, so, I double-dipped on this one, and I'd probably triple-dip if something even better came along. So, we'll see. At number 7, I have Creatures on the Loose, issue 31. This is featuring Man Wolf. Man Wolf was this awesome werewolf character. He's the son of J. Jonah Jameson. Yeah, that one, the editor from Spider-Man. That's his son who became an astronaut, and he got this wild stone attached to him that makes him turn a werewolf. It's a whole thing. It's a great origin, great concept. We really need an omnibus of this, that's for sure. Don't have it yet. This is written by the great Doug Minch, who went on to give us Moon Knight, among other things. Pencils by George Tuska here. Unfortunately inked by Vince Coletta, but, this cover is by Gil Kane and Frank Giacoia and Mike Esposito. I had the original singles of this run, and I am still eagerly awaiting a nice oversized hardcover to collect these. So come on, Marvel, what are you doing? Give us a awesome Man Wolf collection. But yeah, I love this cover so much. At number 6, I have Savage Sword of Conan, issue number 1. This started it all as far as Marvel, Black and White. Awesome, this awesome series, Savage Sword of Conan. Began in 1974. Of course, mostly written by Roy Thomas. Who else? Much of it based on Robert E. Howard, some not. Art in this one, there's just a whole roster of legendary artists here. John Buscema, Gil Kane, Barry Smith, Neil Adams, and others. This cover is by Boris. Love that. This is collected in the Savage Sword of Conan Omnibus Volume 1. I have it in that form. I would rather it be in a gallery or something because the Omni actually reduces the art slightly from this magazine size art. Not a big fan of that. And I actually started collecting all of the Savage Swords in their original form because once I realized that the Omni art, it was actually reduced. So, yeah. Now, whether I'll actually ever obtain issue 1 of this in the original, form, I don't know about that because it's very pricey. But I have read it in the reprinted form. Love this one. Now, at number 5, halfway up the list, I've got Conan the Barbarian, issue 39. This is the title of this one is The Dragon from the Inland Sea. Now, I could have chosen any number of issues of Conan from that year. They're all fantastic. But this one is written by Roy Thomas. And here's the magic of this one. The pencils and the inks in this one are by Big John Buscema. It's rare that we get to see John ink his own pencils, but when we do, it's stellar. If you haven't seen that, check it out. It's delicate and it's detailed at the same time. And we're used to seeing, if you're a Conan fan, you're used to seeing John Buscema with some heavy inks by Ernie Chan on it. And I do like that look as well. But to see John Buscema inking his own stuff, that's a higher level altogether, gotta say. If you haven't seen that before, take a look at it. This one is reprinted in the Conan the Barbarian Omnibus, the original Marvel years, Volume 2. It's in there. It's probably in a lot of other forms too. But yeah, you can get it there. And that's a good way to get it because the Omnis do oversize the art from standard size singles like this. I have it in Omni, and I also have the original single of this one. Great, great stuff. Yeah, love seeing John inking his own work. Now, at number 4, I have Giant Size Conan the Barbarian, issue number 1. Now, if you're not familiar with the Giant Size Marvel stuff, back in the 70s, especially 74 and a few years after that, Marvel was really big on doing these giant size editions. These were square bound, which was terrible. Okay, yeah, when you know, you know. If you've ever owned one, you know it's not good. But they were all like 64 pages or thicker, like twice or larger, about twice the size of a standard issue. And they always had at least one main story that was new, and then you had some reprints that filled in the rest. And some of the reprints were from really older stuff that, you wouldn't have seen in 74 except in these kind of giant size issues. Later, these were replaced by annuals, and they stopped doing giant sizes. But this one, the draw here for me is the main story is The Hour of the Dragon. Written by Roy Thomas, of course, but it's adapted from the Robert E. Howard Conan novel, Conan the Conqueror, which is one of my favorites as far as the Conan novels go. And so this adapts chapter 1 of that. And it's really, really good stuff. The art is by Gil Kane with Tom Sutton on inks. Really good to see Gil Kane doing Conan. Good stuff. This cover is by Gil Kane and Ernie Chan. I think the dragon figure in the back there was actually done in later in post by John Romita Sr. He did a lot of little post editing and adding some stuff to a lot of covers. He was the art director for Marvel for years, in case you didn't know. This is reprinted in the Conan the Barbarian, the original Marvel years, Omnibus Volume 2. Same place as the last one, naturally. Yeah, and I just noticed on this cover it says 68 big pages. They're getting there by taking the 64 interior pages and adding the front and back covers. Kind of a cheat. So you're not really getting 68 big pages, but... All right, Marvel, okay. At number 3, I have Man-Thing issue number 5. And again, I could have picked any of the issues of Man-Thing from that year. They're all awesome in my mind. I'm a sucker for that, for the Marvel monsters. Love Man-Thing. But this one is written by Steve Gerber. Pencils by Mike Ploog. Love Mike Ploog so much. Inks here by Frank Chiaramonte, I believe is pronunciation. This cover is by Ploog. Probably with some touch-ups here by John Romita Sr., I'm betting. But it's a Ploog cover. This is collected in the Man-Thing Omnibus. I had the single this at one time. I think I sold it. But I absolutely love Man-Thing, and I love Steve Gerber's writing. Mike Ploog art, just cherry on top. So that's why it's number 3. At number 2, in my top 10 favorite comics of 1974, I've got Strange Tales, issue number 178. This is Warlock. Warlock's origin is retold, among other things here. Written, penciled, inked, and colored by Jim Starlin. Big old tour de force from the master comic book storyteller right here. This is reprinted in the Adam Warlock Omnibus, which I have that. But an even better and bigger and more awesome way to get it is in this guy right here. This is Warlock by Jim Starlin. I own the Omni, but I also got this because of course I do. I'm that big of a Jim Starlin fan and an Adam Warlock fan. Absolutely love this guy. Yeah, so if you can find this, if you can get it in this form, this is how I recommend you get it because it's awesome. So big. It's almost the original art size. Love the Warlock character, and I love Jim Starlin on it. Yeah, so this is comic book goodness. This transcends the decade here, right here. I'm telling you, this is great stuff. But what is my #1 favorite comic book of 1974? It is Doctor Strange, issue 1. Doctor Strange, Master of the Mystic Arts. Plot by Steve Englehart and Frank Brunner. Script by Steve Englehart. This starts what is, in my view, the best Doctor Strange run of all time. Pencils, inks, and colors by Frank Brunner. This cover is by Brunner. This is reprinted in the Doctor Strange, Master of the Mystic Arts Omnibus Volume 1. Hopefully we're going to get a Volume 2. And probably a 3 after that. I'm not sure how many it'll take, but it'll take a few to fit it all. And I'm hoping to get all of those. But absolutely love Doctor Strange, and I love this issue. I have this single as well as the Omni. Yeah, I recommend you get that omnibus if you still can. Love the Brunner art, and this era is just great for Doctor Strange. Love this one. And that's why it's my #1 favorite comic book of 1974. So like I said before, what are your favorites? Go ahead and put those down in the comments. I'll take a look at them. Tell me, go ahead and yell at me if you want. Tell me the things I left out that should be in here. But remember, if I didn't read it, I can't put it in. Now, I'm reading older material all the time and newer material. So, my views on 1974 might change going forward. Some of the stuff you're probably going to yell at me about, it may end up in that list in my head and knock down some of these that are already here now. But I can only make the list of what I've read now based on that material and my memory of it. So that's where we're going with this. So I hope you enjoy taking a look at it. And if you're new to the channel, please hit subscribe so you won't miss more. And take a look at my back catalog. It's all in there, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So hope to see you around. And I'll catch you next time.